Hi guys, Mephisto here and welcome back to my channel. So first thing I want to mention is that the Krang event is still open as the dev team have pushed back the update for this week. The delay will help a few players not only obtain Krang but also ascend her. In addition to that, this also gives the dev team some time to fix some of the existing issues with the game as reported by our players. Not exactly sure if it will come out in the next maintenance and update, which I'm hoping to be this coming Thursday, but definitely something worth looking forward to. Now, according to my last video, I did put out a challenge and the deadline was June 18th, so I want to take this opportunity to actually congratulate Himea for breaking my record time. And it seems like Achille also made an attempt based off the ranking from my last video, so props to him. I am quite curious to know how she beat my record because 8 minutes and 9 seconds seems really impossible. So let's take a look at her profile. Seems like she definitely have a decent taste when it comes to clothing and design in terms of the matchup. Personally, I do feel like this starter sneaker looked the best when compared to some of the other dress shoes or options that are currently available. I do hope the game will release more character clothing and design aside from Yabi skins in the near future. Now, for some Monster Quest Spine Technique 101, let's take a look at her Yabis. Okay, so we have Lunar, Monoplume, Shido, Leia, and Vera. All seems like great combinations for this rune. Now, if she got the 400 damage buff for some of the fire attributes on level 1, then that would have been a killer move in addition to her RNG power. I think this time is going to be really hard to beat unless I see a green bubble on every single floor, so hands down to her. Now, she also have her Instagram account here, so for those of you that are interested, she is a cosplayer as a hobby. Do give a like and follow her on Instagram. So I've been asked a few times and also on Facebook for how to catch up with the higher ranks in terms of BP level, hence this video. Here I'm using Frost Princess as an example just because I have her level but really haven't upgraded her yet. I will be doing individual Yabi reviews in the near future, so if there is one in particular that you'd like me to do a review on, leave a comment, drop it below, and I'll add that to the list. When it comes to jeans, there is actually a time saver button by upgrading the jeans in batches, assuming you have sufficient amount of both gold and material, so minimum 11 of them. Then you can use this function instead of upgrading the jeans one by one. So I would recommend starting off with plus 8, then plus 11, and then plus 13, and work your way up that way in case your resources or gold are limited. Once you reach plus 13, you do still need to do some manual labor and upgrade them one at a time. So if you notice, we start out with stamina, now physical attack. Once it gets to 8%, moves on to the next one, physical defense, magical attack. Basically, it will continue to do this and loop through every single genes on the ring to 8%, 11%, 13%, depending on what you pick. It will continue to do this until the entire gene on the ring reaches that level. Now, there is something else that I want to show you guys, which is although there is sort of a gacha component to this piece, but the risk is relatively low compared to upgrading the stats in gear. Essentially, there is a fixed number of blue, purple, orange, and gold stats or grade. Once you roll through every available option there is per grade, you will be moved on to the next grade. So once you've gone through every level of blue, you get to purple, and naturally there is also a chance to literally go from blue to gold without looping through every option. So to show you guys what I mean, focus on the top green stats and see if you can notice the pattern. So with stamina, we start at plus 11, plus 13, and we're plus 13. So we're max at the gold grade. You don't want to re-roll or reset after that. Let's try it one more time with the physical attack. So plus 8%, plus 8%. And notice how we went from purple to orange at plus 11, plus 12, and plus 13. We're likely going to max it out after this one. Or not. Next one. Or not. Next one. There we go. So apparently, aside from Krang's event, this is also where my RNG fails me in this game. But hopefully you notice that with the green stats, it never goes below what you currently have. It either stays the same or goes up every single time you re-roll. So now let's talk about talent. Talent differs from genes in the sense that it also affects your stats, which is something that you should be leveling up and doing the talent challenge daily. But it also affects your ultimate skills and levels it up every single time you levels up your talent. And you can craft the material with the essence that you acquire from a talent challenge. My recommendation is focus on maxing out your top 2 and then your top 4 instead of spreading your resources really thin, because there will always be new Yabis and you don't want to have an inventory of Yabis that are half upgraded. Now, when it comes to abilities, although changing your Yabi's ability does not affect your overall BP, the ability itself has a huge effect on the outcomes with any battle. With the number of options, what you really want to aim for is the first or sometimes the first two abilities with each one when you open up the ability section. They are generally unique to your Yabis and their specialty. If your Yabi have two attribute skills like Kran with Wood and Majestics, you'll have two sections of abilities with each attribute. With that, Woodstone would reroll for Wood abilities and likewise for Majestic skills. Now, before you reroll, make sure that you check the second set at the bottom left corner. Sometimes the preset is already the best ability available to you, so you don't need to reroll or just reroll one of the two abilities. So definitely don't forget to check that and then go with the best option you have available. So the last thing that will affect both your BP and the outcome of the battle is gear. Now I will probably do a more in-depth gear tutorial and gear strategy in the near future. For now, before you equip any gear on your Yabi, especially the limited gold ones that you have available, check the recommendation section. The game actually gives you a decent recommendation for what to equip based on the characteristics of your Yabi and their skills. This is important because unequipping a full set of gold gear can cost 200 gems, roughly 50 gems for each removal stone. You can go really creative with gear if you have the funds available. If not, it's much better to wait on gold, go with the orange set, upgrade it, and equip the gold gear when it's the right time. So in this case, the Watermoon set goes best with my Frost Princess, and if I check my inventory, run a quick filter for Traceless Watermoon, I only have 3 out of the 4 available. This is where leaving a gold gear pouch or chest comes in very handy. More than often, you're going to run into a situation like this where you have 3 out of the 4 pieces available, and having that one last piece of gold gear make up the 4-piece effect. And having that 4-piece effect in this game is pretty much equivalent to having a third ability. Okay, so I'm going to cover gear upgrade very briefly. I think a lot of you are already familiar with it, but just to share some tips and how I go about upgrading my gear. So first of all, as you know, you're going to unlock extra stats after hitting specific levels, so 6, 9, 12, 15, and 18. Now at level 15, it won't allow you to upgrade until you start up the gear. And in order to do that, let's first see if we have a level 15 available. Okay, so let's go with the Yggdrasil. So with Yggdrasil, currently it's asking me to start up the gear, and in order to do that, I need to find myself a piece of gold gear from the same set, so Yggdrasil with Yggdrasil, or I recommend actually using Star Force and saving your gear. So having extra gold gear right now have more value than actually having an extra Star Force sitting around. Star Force is also very much easier to get. You can find it in the shop, the guild shop, the PvP shop. If you don't have it, don't rush it. So with Reforge, you can roll and reroll all 6 types of stats with any gear, so there's really no limitations. That said, there's specific Yabis like Pope, Caesar, Shido, where speed is important and could be much more value than, say, defense. Meanwhile, upping defense stats would make most sense for Yabis like Osiris or Kran. Naturally, you can't go wrong with having more stamina and attack. My recommendation is always reforging the stats to 50 or 60% plus for the right stats and then move on from there. Assuming your material is limited, it's much better to reforge for the right stats on a set of Yabis than maxing out the stats for 112 Yabis. And in addition to that, so I never use Smelt. I don't know if it will work like Jeans, but since I can get the max stats with just Reforged from time to time, I will just stick with that. Now, if you are running low on any Essence or Star Force for the upgrades in terms of material, you can actually decompose, or the game likes to call it resolve, any gear that you're not using. So I always chuck off the blue and the purple because I have enough orange gear to use as backup. But most of the time, I only use gold gears and only upgrade gold gears. And with this, you do get a decent amount of Star Force and Essence in case you are just missing that one level away from level 15 or one level away from level 18 with the gear, and that could really make a big difference. So when it comes to acquiring gear, something that strongly recommends make sure that you don't miss any of the sign-in days. If you did, it's actually worth spending 20 gems just to re-sign in versus the 50 gems for a chance to roll out of gear, and chances are you're not going to get what you need versus a gold pouch that you can pick and also comes with a gold gear. Now, alternatively, if you want to spend some dough on this game, you could buy the Battle Pass that is currently available, and I think the price was $9.99. With it, you do get a full set of Dragon Hurricane, but the only caveat is that it's currently only recommended for Keating, although you could equip it on any Yabi that does multiple attack per action, so Yabis like Kran, Nynx, but again, as always, equip wisely. The last thing that you want to do, and I'll probably end the video here, is that aside from the daily talents, palace runs, you want to do the black hole as often as you can. 4-6 does have a chance to drop the gold gear by itself, although not very often, but the reward is definitely much better than 4-5. That being said, both 4-5 and 4-6 does both drop sharp. And with that, you can use it in the exchange shop. And generally, I am the accumulation type. So in the case that I don't have any gold pouches or gold chests available, this is where I go to get my final 4th piece. Okay, and with that, guys, I know there was a lot of information to pick up, especially for new players, but I really hope it's been helpful and that you learned something new in the last 10 minutes of this video. Drop a like if you did, and don't forget to comment below on what content you'd like to see next, or if there is a particular Yabi that you would like me to do a review on. As always, I'll see you guys inside the game.